Street League announced the Trick of the Year winner about a week ago, and I've been seeing a bunch of comments online about how Filipe Mota got robbed. And frankly, I don't even think that was the hardest trick done on Hollywood 16 this year. So I am going to run through what I think the ranking of Trick of the Year should be out of these top 10, and you can tell me how wrong I am. So why don't we just jump in? I am going to start off with number 10 here, and that's going to be Tyshawn Jones's tray flip. So I think the obvious problem here is he's done 3 tricks now across this gap, and actually I think that the backside flip is the hardest one. I don't know. On a gap like that where you're landing on the rumble strips and you kind of got to switch stances and manage that out, I think backside flip is harder than tray flip. I'm also better at tray flips than I am at backside flips, so that might have something to do with it too. One, he's already kick flipped it, then he backside flipped it, and then he tray flipped it. Tray flip can't be Trick of the Year. Yeah, backside flip, way harder than tray flip. So I don't think you can win Trick of the Year when you're not doing the hardest trick done at that spot. Even though you did the other trick, still don't think you can win if it's not the hardest trick done. So let's take us to the next one. Here we've got Antonio Durao and his nollie tray down D7. I really like this clip. Thought it was a great nollie tray flip. A couple problems with it in terms of ranking it as Trick of the Year. Number one, I don't even think it's the best trick that Antonio Durao has done down D7. I think that the best trick he's done down D7 is the switch varial flip he did several years ago. I think this was in his numbers intro video, and I think he nollie backside flipped it too, but I think switch varial flip is objectively a better trick down D7 than a nollie tray. The other problem is I don't think it was the best trick done down D7 this year. I think the best trick done down D7 this year was the nollie hard flip that Tyshawn posted straight to Instagram. A good nollie hard flip versus a nollie tray. I think nollie hard flip's better, and that was a really good nollie hard flip. So, yeah, Antonio Durao not going to win Trick of the Year from me. Next one to eliminate, we've got Elijah Berle. Elijah Berle grinded this rail in San Francisco, and he grinds the first one and then transfers onto the second one and then bombs the hill. To me, this trick is mostly about the hill bomb. I think that there are a ton of people who could grind that rail and do the double rail. Not that it's a trivial thing by any means, but I think there's a lot of people who could do it. Bombing the hill is kind of another thing. The problem with it there is that he didn't bomb the whole hill. And again, it's not like you have to bomb the whole hill, but the problem is somebody else has already done it. I know this guy Matt Finley slides 3 times. Elijah Berle only did 2 power slides, but Matt Finley takes not just the first hill, but the entire next hill and then the next one after that. I realize he didn't do both of the 50-50s, but again, if we're talking about Trick of the Year, I think if we're talking about Trick of the Year and it's clearly possible to bomb the entire hill, you got to bomb the entire hill if you're going to win Trick of the Year off that one. So not going to be Trick of the Year for me. These next ones are all ones that kind of made me go, oh, wow. And I think that that's kind of important from a Trick of the Year selection. It should kind of make you stop and go, whoa. And all of these ones check that box. But the first one I'm going to eliminate from there is Dashawn Jordan's board slide up this rail. A couple things. One, I think, it's hard to win with a board slide. I think it's a pretty basic trick selection, even though you are doing it up a 13-stair rail. If he had been the first one to kind of pioneer going up a rail, maybe that's a little different. But as we all know, Leo Romero kind of kicked off the going up a rail thing, or going up like a rail that people normally go down. He kicked that off in 2010 with his last trick in Stay Gold. And Brandon Westgate board slid up, if you're looking for like a comparable, Brandon Westgate board slid up a pretty big rail about 10 years ago in his Zoo York part. Granted, this one's a lot more mellow than the one Dashawn did, but I just think it's not quite trick of the year. And then the final reason I'm going to eliminate it now is he did it more than once. So, you know, you'd kind of think like a trick of the year caliber trick, you're going to get it and that's it. But like, clearly he can do it easily enough that he can do it several times until he gets a really good one. I thought he landed a couple in these attempts that would be fine. Especially would be fine if you're doing the craziest thing you've ever done, which I think trick of the year should probably be one of the craziest things you've ever done. But I didn't really see anything wrong with that last one, and he can still do it again. So, yeah, going to eliminate Dashawn Jordan there. Next one I'm going to eliminate is Filipe Mota's kickflip front blunt. Couple reasons I'm going to eliminate it. One, I don't think it's the best trick down Hollywood 16 this year. So this year, we also saw a bigger flip front board. I can't stand bigger flip front boards, but that was done. There was also a tray flip lip slide done down Hollywood 16. And I think you could debate this a lot. Kickflip front blunt, tray flip lip, bigger flip front board. You know, I think it comes down to a little bit to personal preference. I definitely think the kickflip front blunt is the most tasteful of those three, actually by far the most tasteful of those three tricks. Here's why I think tray flip lip slide actually has a really compelling argument, is that is the contest trick that everyone can do. Every contest skater has tray flip lips and has them most tries. They're doing them in their runs. They can tray flip lip the biggest obstacle at the skate park. And yet somehow tray flip lip has still never been done down Hollywood 16 until this year. And there's got to be a reason. And I think the reason is it's absolutely terrifying to do on a rail that big. Like you have to fully commit your groin to being completely over the rail, and if you miss the tray flip, I really don't know what the plan is. On the contrary, from the kickflip front blunt, you can see in Filipe Mota's tries, he misses the kickflip a handful of times, and he just gets his foot on the rail and jumps down. I don't think that's going to happen on the tray flip front lip. We'll never know because this guy did it first try, but yeah, I just think for a trick that's so common that everyone seems to be able to do, you'd think it would have been done on the most iconic spot there is, but it hasn't been done yet. The other reason I don't think this is trick of the year for me is, had the kickflip front blunt like opened the door to flip-ins on Hollywood 16, maybe that'd be another story. But people have been flipping into Hollywood 16 for well over 10 years. You had Nyjah do kickflip back lip all the way back in, I think, 2011 in his Rise and Shine part. You had kickflip backboard was done in 2013 by Ed Duff in the Zero video. Kickflip crook was done in 2014. I think kickflip crook is pretty close to on par with kickflip front blunt when you're doing it down to 16. Kickflip front board was done in 2014. Kickflip front lip has been done. Again, kickflip front lip, I think might even be harder than kickflip front blunt down a 16 stair. It's like the tray flip lip slide, it's pretty committing. Bigger flip front board has been done down Hollywood 16. Again, that one's super committing versus a kickflip front blunt in my opinion. Yeah, and kickflip nose grind's been done similar to kickflip crook. I think kickflip nose grind is right on par with kickflip front blunt when you're doing it down a 16 stair. And then you've also got, I'm just going through all the flip-ins on Hollywood 16 at this point. You've also got heel flip front board, which is pretty crazy as well. Kickflip front blunt is, I think, better than kickflip front board or heel flip front board, but yeah, it's not a barrier breaking trick, the kickflip front blunt. And I think trick of the year, ideally, and I think some of the tricks on the board here would be considered more barrier breaking tricks. So let's go to the next one. Next one I'm going to cross off is the fakie flip down Wallenberg. This is crazy. I lived like 2 blocks from Wallenberg during most of the pandemic and would skate flat here a lot, so I've stared at the top of this for quite a long time. I can't imagine going fast enough on a skateboard to be able to clear Wallenberg. The thing is if we're looking for reasons to eliminate this as trick of the year, another trick was done down Wallenberg this year, the nollie backside flip. I think if you look at these side by side, I think fakie flip is better. They both land switch. The nollie backside flip, because it turns, you don't have to clear quite as far, in my opinion. But there's more going on in the air, right? So it's a little bit subjective, but I do think fakie flip's harder. If we're looking for a reason to eliminate these, which we are because we're trying to rank them as trick of the year, I think it's the ramp that's kind of the factor there. It's not a completely pure street spot, so to speak. I know that there's like all this internet arguing about the credibility of Wallenberg tricks with the ramp. The ramp's totally in bounds. I think the only tricks done down Wallenberg without the ramp since the hill bomb part has been closed off. I've seen a kickflip and I've seen a back 180. I can't find either of those clips, but I know I've seen people do throw down and do both of those. Even Chris Cole with the tray flip used the ramp. So I don't really think anything's getting done there. I don't think it's a fair criticism of tricks down Wallenberg of, oh, but they used a ramp. But in the context of ranking them for trick of the year, I'm gonna play that card. Now we are kind of moving into the super finalists here. The next one I'm going to eliminate, though, is Jamie Foy. And Jamie Foy on his fakie flip switch front feeble. The reason I'm going to eliminate him, and again, these are all crazy tricks. They are all crazy tricks on this list. These are super crazy at this point. So I'm really grasping at straws for reasons to eliminate here. And I think the main reason I'm going to eliminate Jamie Foy is something he did to himself, which he totally desensitized me to fakie flipping into stuff. He did fakie flip back tail on that out ledge in Honeymoon. He did fakie flip front crook on a rail in Honeymoon. He did fakie flip back lip on a rail in Intervals. He did fakie flip 5-0 on the same rail that he did fakie flip switch front feeble. So by that point, it's just kind of fakie flip in overload, and I'm desensitized at this point to the fact that Jamie Foy has figured out how to fakie flip into a bunch of stuff, which is insane. But if we're trying to pull out trick of the year, by fakie flipping into everything, it kind of diluted the coolness of this specific trick, in my opinion. So we're gonna cross off Jamie. Let's go to the next one. Next guy I'm going to eliminate is Daan Van Der Linden and the back 180 fakie 5-0 fakie front heel out. That is crazy. It surprised me a ton because I don't really associate Daan Van Der Linden with like tech skating, which that is. I was really surprised at how clean he did it, because you'd kind of expect that trick to not come out super clean. I think it was odd that there's only one fisheye angle from there, and out of all of these tricks, all of them have a long lens angle because they're bangers. And so it's a little odd that that was only filmed fisheye. Doesn't take away from the trick, in my opinion. But if we're looking for reasons to eliminate at this point, that's perhaps one of them. The other thing is you could consider like that's probably an MBD. I don't think I've ever seen that flip or that ledge trick before. Maybe someone's done it, who knows? But that's not actually the only NBD I've seen at that spot. I know this one clips, but Jacopo did a back Noseblunt nollie backside flip over that same gap. There's been a couple of other really kind of wild tricks done there. So to me, it's just kind of, it's not the super standout trick at that spot. It is very much a standout trick at that spot, but I think you could argue that there's other crazier tricks or on the same level of craziness tricks done there. Next one, I'm knocking out Tiago. Tiago's switchback Noseblunt on the bay blocks. Kind of a couple of trains of thought I used to eliminate this one. One, is it the hardest trick done at the Bay blocks? And I think you could actually make a case for a couple of other ones. One is Tiago's, the nollie heel nose slide, nollie heel flip. I don't get how you do that on something that high. And then Carlos Ribeiro also did switch flip back tail on it. And if you're thinking about, like, I've gotten into a switchback nose blunt on a small ledge. It's kind of a funky switch ollie into a front blunt. I've never gotten into a switch flip back tail. And so with that logic and me being the judge here, you know, that's one way I could kind of use to eliminate it. The other thing, you know, he went kind of over the back, which I don't love. I thought Tyshawn's regular back nose blunt, he did a way better job of not going over the back and kind of stood it up a little bit more vertical. So, you know, there's room to improve in a way, but it's super nitpicky at this point. The other way I kind of thought about eliminating this or ranking these tricks is that the best switchback nose blunt of all time? And I would say maybe, but also I think there's some room for debate. One, Carlos Ribeiro did one down Clipper, which is crazy. It's totally different, right? Tiago's doing it on a super tall ledge, and this is a hubba that's as close to a skate park hubba as they come in the streets, but it is kind of wild. TJ Rogers also did a really gnarly switchback nose blunt with this pretty big drop. So, you know, it's up for debate, in my opinion. Is the Bay Blocks one that Tiago did the craziest one? I don't know. And then Carlos Ribeiro also did a switchback nose blunt on this out ledge, I think down in LA. And this also is really nuts. It is the second part he's ended with a switchback nose blunt, or actually I think the Clipper one came second, but he's ended 2 parts with switchback nose blunts. So Carlos, you probably need to cut that out. But both of them are, I would say, at least on the same or similar level to doing it on the Bay blocks like Tiago. And so if it's going to be trick of the year and we're kind of ranking them against other ones, I think that is grounds for elimination, at least if we're down to the last 2. And so that leaves me with my trick of the year, or my choice for trick of the year, which is Cordano's half cab blunt to backlip down this 12 rail. I think there's a lot to talk about here. One, it's a straight to Instagram clip, which might be the most 2024 thing of all time. This is crazy, and the fact that we're just throwing up what I think is probably the coolest trick of the year straight to Instagram is kind of wild. I think that this was the most, like, jaw drop or I can't believe what I just saw reaction I had out of seeing any of these. And let's see what else. I think he loses some credit because, one, it wasn't filmed that well, because it looks like it's all just iPhone filming, which be an interesting story as to what the deal is there. I also think that with him being a massive human being, he makes this rail look a lot smaller than it actually is. This is like a spot people skate in Calgary. My understanding is it's been around for a long time. There's a clip of somebody hurricaning it in a video recently, and like it looks like a totally different rail. And I think it's not a tiny little flat bar looking rail that Cordano made it look like. And I think that's important to remember at some point. But yeah, I think, you know, if we're going to pick the 2024 trick of the year and what's most representative of this year and where we're at in skateboarding, you've got the super athlete guy doing a trick straight to Instagram, and it's a trick that I would never have thought of, never imagined. I don't really know how many people could possibly pull that off. I don't think I've ever seen that one on a flat bar, though. I'm sure it's been done several times, but taking it to a 12-stair rail is just insane. So anyway, that's my pick for 2024 trick of the year. based on the top 10 served up by SLS. Maybe that would be different if I was picking my own top 10. I have no idea. And to conclude this, I'm going to go put these in front of the ultimate skateboard critic, my wife, who has no idea what she's seeing, and get the final judgment. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you the top 10 candidates for Trick of the Year.
Okay.
And your task is to select one.
And is it 10 tricks or 10 people? 10. Like, could someone have multiple entries for Trick of the Year? For Trick of the Year?
Nobody does.
Oh, okay.
In theory, that's possible, sure, but nobody does here.
Nobody does that many cool tricks.
That's not true either, but this...
Okay, just not in 2024.
We're not looking at all the tricks done this year. We are specifically looking at the 10 that Street League has pulled out for us as finalists.
Okay, thanks, Street League.
And you are going to rank them.
Okay.
No, not rank them.
No,
You're not going to rank them. Just pick one.
I'm just going to
pick your favorite, yeah.
No. No. Although that's probably top 3. No. Possibly this one. And possibly this one. That one, yeah. I think it's the up rail.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I've never seen anything like him.
Okay.
And the rest of these, like, that shouldn't have been Jamie Foy's entry. I watched his video. He had other cool things that would have been better. And this one, not that cool.
Why?
Like, what's the only thing that's cool about it is he's bombing this hill, but like he didn't even grind on the rail for that long. It was just like a boop, boom.
Interesting.
That feels like typical. That's cool, right? Like the twisty around, that's cool. This, I don't think it looks that cool. I'll say it. I liked his part. I know where it is. This, it's unexpected. Like, that's crazy. This is, I think it was more how that was filmed. I understand why this one is important. That one is probably the better version of the one before the subway one. That one, I don't see what's so cool about that. This is whatever. Yeah, I think it's the up rail.
Okay.
That's right. Trick of the Year 2024 is, do you know his name?
Yeah, that's Dashawn Jordan. You picked Dashawn Jordan.
All right. Dashawn Jordan. Congratulations. You're Emily's pick for Trick of the Year 2024. What?
Nice job.
Thanks. What's your pick?
I picked the twisty on the rail.
Oh, Cordano. Mm-hmm. See, I know skaters.
Yeah, look at that.
He's a big boy.
A what?
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he is. He is a big boy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good pick. I told you I thought it was like runner-up.
I think that was part of what hurt him, is because he's so big, he made that rail look really small, and it's not actually that small.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how many people are popping off the rail doing a
literally nobody.
A 180 and getting back on it?
Literally nobody.
Yeah, so I think he's the runner-up.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, going up the rail, that was sick. But didn't Jamie Foy do something like that in his New Balance? He did like the
He went down flat, up.
Yeah.
And then he also did a rainbow up and then down.
Yeah, like he should have submitted one of those. Or SLS should have gotten their heads out of the sand and picked one of those.
Man.
They don't know what they're doing.
Tell
them. I'm just kidding. Not going to. I'm just joking.
All right.
Okay.
Great. We're done.
My arm.
Okay.